Welcome to this Mantium tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to be taking you how to chat with your data using Mantium in ChatGPT interface. My name is Blessing Adeshiji and I'm a developer advocate here at Mantium. So let's get to it. In this tutorial, we're going to examine how to connect your data in Mantium to OpenAI's ChatGPT plugin. So you're going to import your data in files to Mantium, create data sets, and perform some transformation that would enable you to make use of it in ChatGPT to perform question and answering, summarization, and just interact with your data like you would normally in the conversational style. So this is all we're going to talk about, how to interact with your data directly in the ChatGPT interface. Now I'm going to navigate to the Mantium platform, and the first thing you want to do is navigate to data sources. This is where we're going to create a data connector to bring in our data in files to Mantium. For this tutorial, we're going to work with the PDF data source. We have other tutorials that examine how to work with other data sources, and I'll provide the link in the description below. And do check out our YouTube channel for more tutorials. So for PDF, click on that. I'll provide a name and we'll call that ChatGPT tutorial. Ensure to give it a name that you can easily recognize in your account. Then I'll click on Save and Test. This will take us to the interface where I will navigate to files and upload the PDF files that I have. For this tutorial, we're going to work with a survey of large language model .pdf and also self-supervised learning cookbook PDF. So they are both research papers, and we'll learn how to interact with them over in ChatGPT. So I'll click on Upload. That will upload the PDF files to Mantium with the data source that we've created. And after that's done, we'll perform a synchronization job that will synchronize this data and have it in our Mantium account. To do that, I'll click on Finish and Sync. If you did not click on Finish and Sync, you can also perform manual sync by clicking this button. I'll wait for this job to finish. It will only take a few seconds, and then we'll create a data set that we're going to make use of in the Mantium plugin wizard. Now, I'll head over to create custom data sets to be able to create data sets from the files we just uploaded. Again, you give it a name, so you can see right here that Mantium has automatically recognized the source where the data is coming from, and you can also give it a name, ChatGPT PDF data, so that you can easily recognize that amongst your data set. Now, the job is completed. We have the text and we have the file name, and we also have the content. Bear in mind that Mantium triggered the convert PDF to text transform automatically, so you were able to extract the text content from the PDF, from the original PDF content. So I'll head over to plugins, and this is where we're going to create a new plugin and then perform transformation on our data and then take it over to ChatGPT interface. I'll click on New Plugin to get started. Notice we have two options right here. We have data source and we have data set. So this stands for working with existing data set, and that's what we're going to select because we've completed this other process where we created a new data source and we created data set from that. So if you are not following along, you can start from here. You can start the whole process from here. But if you're following along, you can simply just choose the data set. So notice that we have the custom data set we just created over here. So select that and then head over to next. So you have two options here again. You could either select an existing credential for your OpenAI key, and this will be used to transform the data into embeddings, the text data into embeddings, for you to be able to work with that and store it in a vector database that we provide access for. And if you haven't created your OpenAI credential, you can easily copy and paste your API key from the OpenAI profile, and I'll leave a link for you to do that in the description below if you haven't done so. So because I have my OpenAI key, I'll click on OpenAI key and I'll select that. Then next process is to work with either the advanced or the standard. So we're going to work with the standard because Mantium would create the important columns that would be necessary for us to work with this data set in ChatGPT. But if you want to learn more about how to use the advanced option, I'll leave a link also to a tutorial below where you can read more about that. So for this tutorial, we'll select standard, and here we're going to select the column that asks the text. So originally you can see content, but we're going to change that to text, so that will take in the text column and it's going to perform splitting. It's going to apply the split text transform on that. It will also apply the embeddings to generate embeddings on this particular text column. So continue, and we'll give Mantium a few seconds to complete both transformation. All right, now that the job is done, you can take a look at the data set, the transform data set we have. We have the original text column to my left. We also have the cleaned content, that is, a lot of transformation has been applied on this to clean the content. And then we have the split content that I talked about, and this was generated using the split text transformation and then the embeddings column. So you could do this manually yourself, selecting the advanced option that I talked about if you had performed the transformation originally before creating the data set. So for this tutorial, we'll click on next, and we have two options right here. You could either decide to use the Mantium manage Redis, which we manage for you. No need to configure the vector database. But if you want to work with Pinecone, maybe you have your data set at Pinecone or you are familiar with Pinecone, you could select the user managed, and I have a link also in the description that would guide you on how to configure your Pinecone account in Mantium. So because I've selected Redis, I'll click on go, and Mantium will take that over to create the necessary credentials that I will make use of to create my ChatGPT plugins over at OpenAI ChatGPT interface. So click on next, and here we'll provide important name to be able to recognize our plugin, and I'll talk about a few important things to notice right here. So let's give our plugin a name. We could say we could call it PDF plugins, or we could call it PDF plugin. So be careful here, name for ChatGPT. Notice I have space here, but ChatGPT doesn't really like to work with space. So we could say PDF dash plugin. Let's try that. And the description, actually, the best thing to work with the description for ChatGPT is to be a little verbose, provide as much details as we want, but we'll just say for the purpose of this tutorial, we'll say this is a plugin to work with data in PDF, to work with data from research papers. And we could provide the title, or you could just leave it at this. But for the purpose of this tutorial, let's leave it at this. So top K is the ranking of the results that will be returned back. We could leave this at 3 for the purpose of this tutorial, but I've also seen that leaving it at 5 also works well. Actually, let's remove the space, the dash here, because that's not acceptable. So because I've used this name before, I'll look for something. I could just add, we could just add tutorial plugin, because I have that name. I've created a plugin for that name before. So let's have it at tutorial plugin. Make sure you don't have space, dash, or anything, because that would not work over at ChatGPT, and hit your create button. And yes, nice. So we have the plugin credentials, we have the access token, and we have the plugin URL that we're going to use to create our plugin over at ChatGPT. To do that, let me take you to the ChatGPT interface. So I'm in the ChatGPT interface, and this is where we're going to develop our plugin. So ensure that you have this selected, plugins alpha, and navigate to the bottom. You could see that I've worked with a couple of plugins before, and this was why I had to change the name, because I have this existing over at ChatGPT initially. So I'm going to deselect that, and then I'll navigate to plugin store, and in plugin store I will click on develop your own plugin. So here we're going to copy and paste the URL. So I'll navigate back to Mantium, and then we'll copy this plugin URL into ChatGPT. So here, just paste and click on find manifest. So that will find the plugin. Notice that we have the validated manifest, and we have PDF plugin, which is the name we used initially where we were creating that. So I'll click on next, and I'll click on install for me, and then continue. So now we are to paste the access token. So navigate back to Mantium, copy the access token, and then paste that. Then install plugin. So now we have our plugin selected, and we have it over here. So it's a Mantium plugin. And let's go back to Mantium and let me show you something. Assuming you click on the done button, you can still copy your details over here. You can copy the access token, and you can copy the plugin URL over here. And you can also ask your question right here over at Mantium. We have an interface for you to ask your question and provide the query and get your responses back. But let's head over back to ChatGPT. And here I've selected the plugin, and let's test that. All right, so while working with that initially, I got a few errors. So I had to change the plugin name to tutorial plugin. So let's provide the question back and change this to tutorial plugin. So that's the name, and let's ask ChatGPT. So you can see here that ChatGPT is using the plugin, and you can click it open to see the queries, to see the responses back from the retriever, and you can see the score as well. You can see some other data as well. So I'm just going to navigate back and then close this, and you can see the details we get directly from the PDF we just uploaded. So remember that ChatGPT usually just hallucinates, and it doesn't give responses back if it doesn't have information on that paper. This paper is actually really recent, so we're getting information back, and that's amazing. So wait for it to complete, and I'll show you something. We have our response back using this particular prompt, but let's try something else. I'm going to remove this, and we'll say what is the role of data augmentation in a cookbook's guide to successful self-supervised learning, training, and deployment. So let's ask that, and let's see what ChatGPT will give us as response. So you already automatically realize that it should use the plugin. Okay, I'll just click on stop generating. So let's just ask this, that let's ask another question about when was the paper self-supervised learning cookbook published. So let's ask this question. Oh, I made a mistake. So it's still using the plugin again. So you already realize or already note to use the plugin at the time when you see content that is related to the paper. So you say the paper was published and uploaded on April 22nd, 2023, and that's recent. And if you have been using ChatGPT, you know that it doesn't give recent information. The training cutoff date is 2021. We could ask, what is the ChatGPT training cutoff date? So it will give us the answer, say, as of September 2021, I don't have access to real-time or updated information. And you can see that using Mantium to create plugin without writing code helps you navigate through this issue of ChatGPT's cutoff date, and you could really get detailed information about current date, real-time information. So this is how to use Mantium to create plugin in few minutes. We just clicking button, no coding, and this is really simple to understand. We have a couple more examples over at our documentation page, and I'll be sure to leave the link in the description below. So do check it out. Thank you for watching. If you need any help, if you need to ask us any question, scan this barcode to join us on Discord. We'll be happy to answer more of your questions and provide guidelines on how to create plugins, work with ChatGPT, and also build more applications with AI. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.